Good day, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to another chat session. Hope you enjoy. Today, we're going to talk about influence. And I think one of the great values, one of the great consequences, one of the great deliverables of education is that you have this thing called influence. And we have influence because we often want people to do something that we want, whether we're a supervisor, or whether we're in a family, or we have friends. We want to have some influence on what we do, what people think. Somewhat more influence than others, but basically we want to have influence. When we say something, it has meaning to people. This discussion is how you gain that kind of influence. Three things. I call it EER: education, experience, and research. So E plus R equals I, if you want to look at a kind of a mathematical equation. Education plus experience plus research equals influence. Education. This is usually through degrees, certificates, courses that you take. It showcases to somebody that the opinion that you have is based on some type of knowledge. Most of our knowledge we get through education, but education is really an important aspect. A side of education is what we often call informal education, which is reading, and that's an important aspect as well, whether it's Time Magazine, whether it's encyclopedias, whether it's the libraries. But education is the first component of it. Again, it starts with degrees, something that says that you have knowledge that people should pay attention to. Second is experience. Experience usually comes in the workplace. And you usually have more experience through titles that you have or specific projects that you have. So if you're president of an organization, and if it's a fairly large organization, you're probably going to have influence than if you're a sole proprietor or a person who has one employee, a small organization. And so the titles convey influence. They convey that you have more detailed experience. In politics, we look for people who've had political positions because it harkens to us that this person should be listened to because of their deep experience. Research. Research is where you have actually done the work outside of education, outside of experience, but you've actually done the work on a specific issue. So you may be the president of an organization, and if you get up and say, I think, you're going to have some influence. But if you showcase that with 47% of people say this, a recent study of 2,000 people did this, I actually talked to 657 employees, and this is that 39% of them said this. If you showcase it, you have done research, that they should not just rely on your education. They should not just rely on your experience, but also that you have spent the time to research the issue, then again, it's going to lead to more influence. So let's kind of wrap them up a bit. Is you have your education, which you come from degrees or courses that you take, that showcase that you have some foundation that should be respected. Then you have experience, and the more broader and wider range experience you have, the greater the influence you're going to have. Somebody will say, well, they've worked in that type of business before. They've run that type of organization before. Experience showcases importance. Listen to me because I've done this before. Third is research. Research means that in addition to my experience, in addition to my education, I've actually went out and researched this particular subject. I've spent the time, the money, the effort to make sure that I have the latest and greatest facts, that I've ensured that I am as knowledgeable of this issue as possible. And that, again, is respected. And then the combination of all those is influence. If you were to stand up and no one knows you, no one knows your history, and you say, I think, not as many people would listen. But if you can get up and say, based on my education of A, B, and C, and D, and based on my experiences of A, B, C, and D, and based on the research that I have conducted over the last 3 months on this issue, I am able to conclude the following. That conclusion, that recommendation, is going to have much more influence than if you didn't have education experience and research. Hope this is influential to you, actually. Hope this is a topic and a discussion that you can go back with and say, I want to have influence in my environment, and I'm going to work on these three aspects so that I have as much influence as possible. Everybody enjoy your day. look forward to chatting with you as usual again.